And get started. How I do that is I'm going to read a statement I have to read to you that I read in all cases. Bear with me while I do that. When I'm done reading, I'm going to hand the case over to Ms. Madeira. If you are testifying, you're going to give your name and its spelling to Ms. Madeira, and then we'll go ahead and swear you in. So good morning and welcome to the Philadelphia Fair Housing Commission. My name is Ali de Medeiros. I'm the attorney for the Fair Housing Commissioners. Also present today from the Fair Housing Commission is Ms. Brenda Madeira. She's your case manager. You'll also see PC, HR, and FHC staff. That's Mr. Michael Fontaine. He runs our Zoom hearings for us. Before we get started, I'm required to go over a few things with you. First, you're being recorded. We record all our hearings. By remaining on the line and participating in the hearing, you are consenting to be recorded. Our Zoom hearings have the same force and effect as if we were in person. The only difference is on Zoom, we do not have a court reporter. In the event either party wants to appeal a final order of this commission, you can reach out to me or Ms. Madeira and we'll provide you with a copy of the video recording. Please be mindful of what you're saying and doing because it is being recorded. Second, at 9 o'clock this morning, the commissioners and myself, the attorney, met in a private executive session to discuss today's cases. We do that on every hearing day with every case. Third, the parties had the opportunity to submit documents. I have the submitted documents saved on my computer and can share them with everyone on the screen. Please keep in mind that the commission generally only reviews the basic documents in a case prior to the hearing. If you would like a document reviewed by the commission, please reference it by a name, date, or description so that I can post it on the screen for everyone to look at the same time. Lastly, during the course of today's hearing, it might be necessary for the commissioners to speak privately to make decisions in this matter. If they need to do that, they're going to invite you to join separate rooms divided by party called breakout rooms. A prompt will come on your screen at the appropriate moment asking you if you would like to join a breakout room. We will direct you to click join when you see that prompt. Once in the breakout room, please remain in that room. We will never end a hearing when you are in a separate room. Please make sure you're back in this main room and that a commissioner or staff member dismisses you before you log off or hang up. Thank you very much for listening. With that, I'm going to hand the case over to Ms. Madeira.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fair Housing Commission. This is the case of Hay K. and David Jerome versus Andre Rapp and Elena Barska. This is our first hearing. This is docket number 2025-01-08-19598. Beginning with the tenant, I would ask you to please state your name and spell it clearly for the recording. Both tenants, please.
Absolutely. My name is Hawa Kabay, H-A-W-A-H. Last name Kabay, K-E-B-B-A-Y.
Okay.
And David Jerome, D-A-V-I-D, Jerome, J-E-R-O-M-E.
Thank you. The landlords, would you please state your name and spell it clearly for the recording?
Andriy Rapp, A-N-D-R-I-Y. Rapp, like R-A-P like Peter, P like Peter.
Okay.
And Alina Barytska, A-L-I-N-A-B-A-R-Y-T-S-K-A.
Thank you. Counsel for landlord, would you please put your name on the record?
Sure, it's Mark Ronaldo, R-E-N-A-L-D-O, and I am counsel for the owners/landlord.
Thank you. Now I would like to swear both tenants as well as both landlords on for the record. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
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 Thank you. So as you've heard, documentations have already been submitted to this commission. While you're testifying, if there is a document that you wish for all to see on the screen, please make mention of that title on the document. If you do not have a title for it and you know the date, use the complete date, which would be the month, the day, and the year. We will ask you not to use pronouns during your testimony. Please make mention of the complete name of the person you are referring to during your testimony. We would ask you to speak when spoken to. Do not interrupt nor disrespect each other during the testimony. We will definitely ask you not to interrupt nor disrespect the commissioners as they proceed over this matter. At the end of the hearing, you will receive an order. You have the right to appeal the final order at the Court of Common Pleas. If you choose to do so, you'll need a copy of this recording that will be transcribed for that purpose. Again, this case is not scheduled for municipal court hearing as of this morning. Again, my name is Brenda Madeira, and the commission is presiding over this matter. Today's Commissioner Butler, Commissioner Baez, and Commissioner Bronson. Thank you.
If a commissioner's speaking, you're muted.
Hello.
I'm not sure who's leading, but I'm sure somebody might be speaking.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good morning and welcome to the Fair Housing. The process for today's hearing is as follows. Given that the tenant has brought this case before us, the tenant will first present their case and then the landlord will have an opportunity to respond. For the tenant, who will be speaking?
That'll be me, Hawa Kabe.
Okay, Ms. Kabay, could you please state the property address for the record?
Absolutely. 2901 C Kane Drive, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19154.
And according to the information that I have before me, you filed this complaint on January the 8th, 2025. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And when did you move into this property?
We moved into this property November 11th, 2022.
Okay. And at the time when you moved in, did you receive a certificate of renter suitability?
We did not.
Okay. At any time since, have you received that document?
Yes, we received it within the last month by the landlord. He did send us a copy after obtaining it via text.
Okay. Approximately when was that?
Approximately, this was done in February. I can get the exact date if you would like.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Is it the one that's being shown on the screen?
That is correct.
Okay, so that date is, it was issued on January the 27th, 2025.
Yes.
And when did you receive it approximately, or do you know the exact date?
Yes, the exact date he sent that was January 29th, Wednesday at 6:45.
Okay. And did you receive a Let's Safe certificate?
Yes, he sent both on the same text thread at the same time. Again, January 29th, Wednesday at 6:45 p.m.
Okay. And what is the monthly rent?
Our monthly rent is $2,100.
And when was the last time that rent was paid to the landlord?
Rent was paid November of 2024.
And what have you done with the rent since November of 2024?
The rent has been withheld in a third-party account.
Okay. And so you're withholding for which months exactly, just to be clear?
Just to be clear, December, January, February, March, and we also added April.
Okay, so from December of 2024 through April of 2025.
That is correct.
Okay, when you moved into the property, did you pay a last month's rent and a security deposit?
That is correct. We paid a total of $6,300 to move in.
Okay, and that reflected what exactly? The
First, last,
6,300.
and security. First month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit.
Okay, and to your knowledge, is the landlord still holding on to the last month's rent and also security deposit?
To my knowledge, I'm not sure. We haven't really communicated about that. To my knowledge, I'm not sure.
Okay, so if he hasn't credited any of the last month's rent to your
No.
library?
No, he has not.
Okay. You filed this complaint before Fair Housing, alleging retaliation and also that the landlord wants to end your lease with no good cause.
Correct.
Can you please explain what it is that you are seeking here this morning, and also what is specifically what are the allegations that you believe are retaliatory from your landlord?
So October of last year, he was experiencing some plumbing issues at the lower floor. So just background information, this is a duplex. We are on the top floor and then there's a lower floor. So he was experiencing some plumbing issues on the lower floor, and he just let us know, you know, you may need to turn the water off, etc. Now, later in October, I want to say October 12th, he did come to my home, and he stated, he gave me an invoice of $650. He stated that that was the cost that he had to pay Roto-Rooters to come and fix the clock downstairs where he was maintenance. I stated that I personally did not have any issues with my plumbing, so I didn't understand why I would be responsible to pay something for downstairs. He stated, this is part of your lease. You are responsible for property maintenance of the sewage. It is in your lease. And I said, I understand what you're saying. However, I did not come to you and say I'm having issues in my apartment. So I'm just trying to understand why I'm being charged $650 for something downstairs. He stated that this was part of the lease, that I have to pay or I'm going to have to leave. I'm sorry, he didn't state that. His wife stated that they were together. She specifically stated, well, if you don't want to pay, you have to leave. It's part of the lease. So I stated, I don't feel comfortable paying. I feel like this is wrong, and I feel like there's something we can do about this. Then they both proceeded to send us a termination of lease, November 21st. Which I provided to the court, basically stating that they would like us to terminate the lease. And that's how this whole process began, which is why I reached out to the Fair Housing Council to see what my rights are and what I can do to be better prepared to figure out how we can resolve this issue. And since then, just to add on, since then, there has been a tenant that did move downstairs. And again, they're still having plumbing issues to where the plumbing issues haven't stopped pretty much.
Okay, so just so that we can be all clear, when you file this complaint before Fair Housing Commission, the allegation was that you were requesting repairs to be done to your property?
That is correct as well.
Okay. So what exactly are the repairs that you requested of your landlord that your landlord did not address?
So over the course of the 2 years, we have complained to the landlord about the insulation of the property. There are times that we have the heat on and you cannot tell. Either upstairs is very, very hot and downstairs is very, very cold to where it's not an even medium. We've expressed our concerns. He stated that whether opening up a window, like just different short changes to kind of rectify the situation. We also had an issue with, there was our downstairs coat closet up on top of the ceiling was leaking. I didn't know where it was coming from. I know the toilet, our bathroom is directly on top of that. So we assumed that maybe there's a plumbing problem. He then came into the property. He pretty much opened a hole to now there's an exposed pipe in our coat closet. I've asked him multiple times, are you going to come and fix this? It's kind of been delay. I did mention that as I was filing the paperwork. And then I was also told to, make sure to remind him, the repairs still need to be done. I went ahead and sent a text as well early this year to remind him, hello, there's still a hole in the ceiling of the closet, is exposed pipe. Things come out like debris, cement, those little things come out.
Right. So just so we can be clear, which coat closet is this in? Like which?
So it's the lower
bedroom.
Level. Yeah. So we have 2 floors. The lower level, it's right near the living room. It's like the hallway coat closet, but it's downstairs.
Okay, and then regarding the heating issues that you were you spoke about, what exactly was wrong with the heating? Did you have no heat?
So pretty much the heat would be, for example, the heat would be on 80. But if you're downstairs, you would feel like it's 60 degrees. Like it's very cold. But when you go upstairs, depending on what room you're in, like our main bedroom is always going to be super, super hot. Then you have the office where we're in now, where it's always going to be cold regardless of what the heat is on. Then you have the other little room where there's like there's no heat, there's no air, there's nothing. So you kind of got to leave the window open all day because there's like no air circulation. Whether you put the AC on or the heat, it doesn't affect that middle room. So it just seems like there's, I'm not savvy with installation, but it's never an even temperature in the home. It's always either going to be too hot in one room, no air or heat in the other.
Okay, so I understand.
Downstairs.
So
Yeah, pretty much.
you communicated these concerns, repair concerns to your landlord. How did your landlord respond to those concerns?
Open the window, the HVAC is fine. I've never had an issue with it. It's never actually been resolved.
So has your landlord ever sent any contractors to come in and inspect your concerns?
Absolutely not. Actually, after filing the paperwork, I offered to have an inspector come in to figure out what's going on, and they stated that I was not allowed to do that since it was not my property.
Okay, so you said inspector, but has anyone ever come out to just
Never.
take a look at the issues that you are
Never,
alleging?
never.
Okay. And then regarding the leak in the downstairs bedroom closet, has that been addressed?
It's no longer leaking. However, the hole is still exposed.
Okay, and when you said a hole is exposed, is that because someone came out to remedy the situation, investigate the cause?
So
How
the
did that hole
landlord,
happen?
yeah, so the landlord came and cut a hole into the ceiling and never came back to patch it up.
Okay, and approximately how long ago was that?
This was 7 months ago.
Can you specify a month and year?
October 2024.
Okay. Has the landlord, actually, no, it's fine. Is there any other information that you wanted to provide the commission about this matter?
The only thing I would like to add on, after going through the process of contacting the fair housing commissions, they wanted me to look up licensing and as far as if there's any violations on the property. And that's when, how I mentioned, they said, if you want, you can have an inspector come over just to see if everything's, up to par. That's when I mentioned it to the landlord. Upon checking, that's when we realized that the landlord, since our entire lease term, they never had a rental license. We found that out through the website, and then that's when we decided to proceed with the Fair Housing Commission to get this court hearing.
Okay, thank you. Are any commissioners have questions of the tenant?
No questions.
So just to be clear, did L&I come out to the property to inquire about the lack of heat or the heating issue that you described?
L&I did not come to the property.
Okay. I believe that landlord has a lawyer.
Yes.
Do you wish to cross the tenant? Or
Yeah,
do you
I just have
present?
I have a few short questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
So, Allison, could you have my exhibit package that I sent in? I believe it should be page 22. There's a text message exchange from, I think it's July 28th of 2023. Sorry, it might take a minute to pull that up, but could you get that on the screen?
When did you send the exhibit packet in?
I sent it last week, so I got confirmation. Let me see. From Michael Fontaine on 3/27, I got a response saying received. So
If you're able to screen share, I don't have it downloaded, so it might be,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, let me.
But I'll do my best.
Yeah, sorry. Let me try and
No, you're fine.
figure that out. Sorry, just give me 1 second.
And just to confirm, you said July 2023?
Yes, yeah. So
Looking on my end too.
I'll have it up here.
Mhm.
Okay. Bear with me here for trying to share the screen. Allison, it's not letting me share. Is there a way I could resend it to you or Michael or somebody to?
If you can forward it to me, I can open it.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, it didn't, I don't see it on our portal.
Yeah, no, I sent it in on Thursday. I apologize if for some reason it didn't go
No,
through.
you're okay.
It was August 13th, 2023. It's been more than a year.
All right, I just sent it your way, Allison.
I'm sorry, while we're waiting, I just want to confirm to the tenant. The tenant, you're still residing at the property. That's correct?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Allison, did it come through? I have a little bit of delay on my email thread, but
Yeah, I'm not seeing it yet. I'm waiting.
okay.
If you want to start questioning the text messages, I don't know, but it sounds like Miss Kabay might have it up on her phone. I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you
I have
have?
a few. Just,
Okay.
can you tell me specifically?
Yeah, so this would have been in a group chat. I don't know if there's another text, but there's 4 people in it, which I'm assuming
Mhm.
are you two and the landlord. It's a text on July 28th, 2023. The chain starts at 4:17 p.m. Do you have that chain?
I do.
Okay. And there's a message there from you saying, or I'm assuming it's from you. There's one saying, "Good afternoon. The best time will be from 4 to 8. Air conditioning is working fine." And then there's a message on there about the lawn, but
Along, yep.
just wanted to confirm your testimony today was that there's been issues with the HVAC working in the property. I'm just wondering how that aligns with the text message that was sent to my client back in 2023.
Well, I specifically said the heating. So when we put the heat on, it's still cold downstairs and our room is still hot. And then this room does not work for heat or AC. And then this room is always cold. When it comes to the AC, we didn't have issues with the AC. We specifically had issues when it came down to the winter time.
Okay.
I have
And
a fan, so even if the AC doesn't work, we can utilize a fan. We're
There's a window as
specifically
well.
talking about the heating.
okay. And as far as you mentioned that you have complained about the heat or the inconsistent heat throughout the house, Do you have that in this same text thread that you sent to my client?
I'm sure at some point, if I go through all my threads, there's
It is
something.
so hot in
It
the
is so
house.
hot in the house. Like,
It's just-
there's
it's
times
inconvenient.
we've
It's right in front
always,
of us.
like, we're always,
Good morning. I'm not sure what it is wrong with the AC, but it's not working. It is hot and oh,
that was for the AC. That was before when he did something and he said it fixed. But there's always been times where I've told him that, okay, it's too hot. What do you recommend that I do? There's times he's come into the property and he said, listen, just open up the window. Like, this has been a reoccurring thing. This is nothing new. He's very much aware that there's something wrong with the installation here, because we mentioned it several times throughout our entire lease.
Okay, yeah, I just was looking to see it in the text messages, but we can move on. My other question is, Allison, thanks for pulling that up. I think it's page 58. It's again, there's a couple from this text thread, but it's.
And I also wanted to mention, just before we go over to the next page, to be clear, even when we did let
I'm
him
sorry,
know
Ms.
about
Cabay, so,
and-
Ms. Cabay, so at this time, the lawyer is crossing you. This is not the time for you to add any more information. Just allow
Oh,
him
okay.
to ask
It's
you
about to ask
questions,
a question.
okay? Thank you.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm sorry, what was the page, Mr. Ronaldo?
It's 58.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Um,
It is a text from January 9th of this year, if that helps.
Can I confirm it's on the screen?
Hmm.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is it on the screen?
No, all I'm seeing is the lease right now.
Okay.
But
I should be able to have it up.
okay, in the meantime, while you're looking for it, Ms. Cabay, do you have that same text thread? There we go. Are you familiar with this text message?
Yes,
Okay, and in here you mentioned that you are going to put all rental payment into an escrow account, as you stated in your testimony. Was this the first time that you informed my client that you were going to withhold rent?
no, I verbally told him when he stated that we had to leave.
Right, but sorry, let me rephrase my question. Was this the first time in writing that you informed my client you were
Yes,
going
in writing, that is correct.
Okay, and what was the reason that you were withholding rent as of January 9th?
Because by that time, he had already sent over a notice of lease termination and that we had to leave at a certain date, which was February. He stated we needed to leave by February 11th. This was all after the fact that he sent us that lease termination.
No, I understand that. Let me rephrase the question again. I guess if you're withholding rent, what were you withholding it until what was resolved would be my question, if that makes sense.
This matter was resolved, this court proceeding.
Okay, until this hearing date.
Correct.
Okay, I have no further questions for the tenant. If I could move on to my client, please.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. Sorry, let me see you guys on here. For purposes of this testimony, who will be speaking between the two of you, Andre and Alina?
Alina.
Okay, great. So could you?
Sorry, if I didn't know something, so he can add the
That's
word?
fine. Yes, that's totally fine. I'll address the questions to both of you.
Mhm.
Whoever has the knowledge can answer if that's okay with the commission, because they're on the same screen. Could you please just restate your name in relation to this property?
Alina Baritska,
Andrei Rab.
we are the owners of the property.
Okay, and have you owned this property since the lease with these tenants began in November of 2022?
Yes,
Okay. And do you have an active rental license for this property?
yes, since January 27th,
Okay. And do you
2020.
right, and do you have a certificate of rental suitability for this property?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and were these delivered to the tenant?
Yes,
Okay. And let me go here. So you heard the tenant's testimony today regarding repairs. to
I'm
the
sorry,
prop-
Mr. Ronaldo, not to be rude. I just want to confirm, they're not disputing the date of delivery for the CRS?
No, and I apologize, Mr. Bays, there is a portion in my questioning where we will address that, but for all intents and purposes, I've had a discussion with them and they understand what that means per Philadelphia code as far as the date of delivery with the CRS and rental license and such.
Okay, I just wanted to go over that, given that it
Yeah.
was, but if you're going to go back, then I'll allow you to proceed.
Yes, yeah, that I 100% will address that. So let me just restart the question. So you heard the tenant's testimony regarding repairs in the apartment. Are you two the people who oversee all repairs and maintenance done?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard testimony regarding a plumbing issue which began back in October of 2024. Could you please just give a brief overview of what these plumbing issues were and what steps were taken to resolve them?
Yes. When I been in an apartment downstairs, I saw the water filler up the top. So that's mean that clogged because I'm a plumber so many years. I know what's the issues and I start to clean it. That's first time what happened. And when I clean it, I pick her up like 3 times. I push the snake inside the pipe and I pick her up a lot of wet napkins from the pipe. In this moment, nobody lives downstairs. I don't use the toilet and the tap, and so is no other people who can clog that pipe.
Okay.
So that was
Just
happening.
to clarify, nobody was living in the lower level at
No.
this time.
No.
Okay, Allison, could you please pull up, there's a couple photos, I believe they're around page 83 to 88 in the exhibit package.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Rapp, could you describe what this photo is showing here?
Yeah, that's what I catching from the pipe, from inside the pipe. That's only two pictures I have it, two different amount of napkins, and the third time I just don't make a picture. So that's I think that's enough to show for the people what they doing.
Okay, and in your experience as both a plumber and a landlord, where would these wet napkins have came from?
They came from the house.
Right, let me rephrase that. Specifically, is it possible that since nobody was living in the lower unit, that these had to have come from the top unit?
Yes, it is coming from the top unit only because first of all, I didn't use the wet napkins in the first floor. I didn't use the toilet on the first floor, and there's only one way to get it clogged by wet napkins when they have a baby in the house. Especially it's happening after they have a baby in the house. So yeah.
Okay, and then Allison, there's at the very end of it, there's you can scroll through, I think the photos show most of it, but there's a picture of a.
That's the second time what happening.
Okay.
They don't allow me to clean the pipe, and they asking me to bring the special plumber. I call to Rotor company. I show them before what's going on, why, because they tell me it's no issue with they plumbing. I explain, I send to them the video how the plumbing working to understand, to make them understand how it's working and why the bottom floor have a clogged first and the water come out first on the first floor. So and then I call to Rotor, they clean it up, and on the picture you can see that's still wet napkin inside the pipe.
Okay.
Again.
At the very end, are you familiar with, oh, sorry, just right there, Allison, the Roto-Rooter. Mr. Rapp, are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
And what does that show?
That show the price, how much it costs to clean the pipe.
Okay. And then I think the next page, Allison, there's one more, which I believe is another invoice.
Another voice that was from me because I took the helper to clean the pipe first time, and that's from my company.
Okay, and you heard the tenant's testimony regarding issues with heating or inconsistent heating in the property. Could you speak to any knowledge you've had of those or any steps you've taken to address those particular issues?
Look, only one message I have about the problem with the heater and HVAC. That's about very hot in the house. All rest, I first time I heard something like they don't have a heat, they have a bad heat. This is something new for me. All messages they ask me, the faucet broken, the washing machine broken. It was answered immediately, and I've been there to repair it right maybe next day, not too far.
Okay, so just to reiterate, the first time you heard about any issues regarding inconsistent heating was today.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
Okay. And regarding the testimony of the leak and the pipe, which was accessed through the closet, I believe it was in the second floor. Could you
Yes.
briefly speak on what issues were taken to address the leak and what currently remains in the property?
Yeah, they sent to us the video, what is the leaking, what we try to respond right away. We said we're gonna be in 15 minutes over there, and they said this is not good time. We told them this is can damage the property. I have to shut off the water, and then we make an appointment for the second day. I come in second day, I open the hole in the closet, I found the leak, I fixed the leak, and then the drywall supposed to dry a little bit before fixing, and I leave it. Later, I have a message from them like about that hole. I come in and I check it out. I supposed to order the access door. I told them that, and later it's just they don't complain. I don't have a time to come to fix it. So
We really forget the situation because it's happened in 2023. So for the 1.5 year, we don't have any complaints about the hole. That's how we forget.
Okay. But just to reiterate, the leak was immediately addressed.
Yes.
yes.
And then Allison, sorry, I just need you to pull up the lease for me real quick. I believe the second page should be, I can get the exact number for you. But I think it's the section that has about utilities on it. Right there, yes. So Andre and Alina, are you familiar with this document?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
And according to the lease here, could you explain who is responsible for gas and electricity in the apartment?
The tenants.
The tenants.
Okay, and sewer maintenance?
Tenants.
Okay, and then air conditioning, heat, and gas?
Maintenance.
Tenants.
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 Okay. And then, sorry, I'm gonna have you pull up another thing for me, Allison. The ledger I sent you this morning, could you please pull that up?
Is it on the screen?
Yes, thank you so much. So are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
Yes.
And sorry, it looks like the top half is cut off. Give me one. Oh, there we go. Okay. And after our conversation about your ability to collect rent, are you aware that you can only collect rent in Philadelphia from the date that you have a rental license and the certificate of rental suitability is delivered to the tenants?
Yes.
Yes.
And with that understanding, can you explain the breakdown shown on the ledger as far as what is currently owed by the, oh, sorry, I think it pulled off the screen. There we go. So with that in mind, could you please explain the breakdown of what is currently owed by the tenants?
So the rent from January 27, 2025 till March 31st, 2025, it's $4,550. utilities, gas and water. The thing is that the tenants stopped to pay their utilities. They said that they're gonna hold rent, but nothing about utilities. So the bill for the utilities total for gas and water is it's 1,794.21. Also, the sewer service. So first bill it is 650. The second bill was 450. But because at that time was it 2 apartments, so we divide 450 for 2 apartments. So it's come up to the 225 plus 650. The total is 875.
Okay, great. And just to confirm, the number there next to total, which was a little bit over 7,000, is that the current amount owed with when you take into account the date of delivery of the certificate of rental suitability?
Yes, and also every month we send a message with the bills to the tenants.
Okay, thank you. And
Did you calculate?
the last thing I'd like to pull up is just the lease termination letter that was sent from, I believe, November 2024. I think both myself and the tenants submitted that. So are you familiar with this document?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
And prior to sending this lease termination, had the tenants ever indicated that they were withholding rent to you?
At that moment, no.
No.
Okay. And why was this lease termination sent?
Because the lease was up and we give a tenant 2 months to move out. First of all, they don't follow the lease. They don't do the maintenance for the heating and conditioner for the 2 years. They never change the filters and never even ask us to change the filters to the heating. Then the sewer, they're supposed to be responsible for sewer maintenance. They ignored that.
Okay. And after our discussions, do you now understand that this notice of termination can only be sent once there is a rental license and the tenant has received all of their proper documentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, also for the last year of the 2024, since March, the tenants was a delay with their rent. They sometimes, some of the months, they pay a rent, they supposed to already pay the next month's rent, they only pay for the previous. It was always delay with the utilities paid and the rent.
They never pay utilities in full amount.
Okay. Understood. And then last question. So as of today, is your understanding that the tenants are currently under what would be deemed a month-to-month tenancy?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The only other thing that I would like to go over from the landlord's perspective is the amount of money still being held by the landlord. The tenant stated that she paid first, last, and security. Is the landlord still holding on to the last month's rent and also the security deposit?
Yes.
Okay. Do any commissioners have questions? Okay, we'll give both sides an opportunity to express any other information that we need to know before we consider this matter. The tenant, you can go first.
Let me explain something.
Yes.
Yes, she did mention we was late the year prior. Yes, we was late the year prior. And every time I was late, I talked to Andrew and told him, listen, I know I'm late, but I will
So
give
just so that we can focus this a little bit more, specifically the landlord stated that they did not know anything about the heating. That will be something to cover.
I'm not sure where they're getting this from. I've had multiple conversations with him. He just seems to brush it off. That's for the heating, as well as the hole. Him and his wife just stated, oh, since they didn't feel the need to keep mentioning it, we forgot. It's okay to say you forgot or you just don't want to do something, but to say that we didn't bring it up every time we've had an issue, if he was here, because he worked downstairs a lot, I would always, you know, hey, are you here? Can you come up? I want to talk to you about this while you're here before you leave. I have tried my best to not only communicate, but overly communicate about our needs and concerns as it pertains to the wall. It just seems like he just didn't care for it. And then I did want to touch base on just a few things that I heard during the testimony with the landlord and their lawyer regarding the documentation. I did notice that you guys stated over the course of December 11th to March 31st that it was a total of $7,700 owed due to rent. But then you guys also mentioned that the effective date of the rental lease license was January of 31. So there's a discrepancy there that I noticed, as well as your sewage maintenance. So I just want to clarify, he never mentioned he's the one that actually did the sewage when he sent me that $650 invoice. He told me that he had an outside party come and this was their company. This is the first time I'm hearing that he is the HR company on the invoice. Not to mention, it says $650. Then he said that Roto-Rooters had to come out recently and the cost was $450. So I'm trying to understand the discrepancy between $650 from him and Roto-Rooters of $450. I'm just struggling where
Okay, so just so that we can, so just so that I can bring some clarity to the issue of the billing dispute, I don't believe that Fair Housing will be able to reach any resolution on that specific issue. Once we, as commissioners, discuss this, we will determine if we can do anything at all. But at this time, I do not believe that we need additional testimony on that.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to get clarification on that. I appreciate it.
Okay. Mr. Ronaldo, any other statements you would like for us to take note before we take a recess?
Yeah, I think I have something I want to say, but just to respond a little bit to that, I think the way that
what exactly?
The part about the not prorated rent. So the 7,000 number was the prorated amount. I think right below it, there was another part that we didn't get into, which showed the total amount owed from December.
So let's just be clear about the rent. Okay.
Yes.
So we all are under the same understanding that the certificate was obtained at the end of
January.
So that will lead us to believe that rent starting to be owed February, March, and now April.
Yes.
So we're talking about February, March, and April. Is that clear?
Yes, that's
Okay.
yes, that's what I was trying to do.
But then I don't think we need to belabor that then.
Okay. So yeah, the last thing I just would like the commission to consider is that the notice of lease termination was not sent in retaliation to anything. At that time, there was no indication that the tenants were withholding their rent. They actually had paid their rent for November. My clients have acknowledged since then that they understand this lease termination was sent incorrectly. As the testimony today showed, there were some issues with documentation and compliance. However, all of that has been addressed since late January. And as we discussed going forward from February and March, the tenants should have been paying rent due to the fact that the landlord was in compliance. And that at this point, they're just under a month-to-month tenancy, and there's no further violations going on by the landlord.
Okay, thank you. I don't believe that there are commissioners. Do any other commissioners have questions?
No questions.
If there are none, then we are going to go into a breakout room. Once you see that signal, just click join. Thank you. On. So we have all parties back in the main room. So at this time, what we're going to be doing is that the commission is going to be taking this case under advisement. That just means that we are not going to be reaching a decision here today. Once we reach a decision, we will communicate that to the parties. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll get that through the communication methods that you've been communicating with Fair Housing. If there aren't any questions, then the parties are free to leave.
I do have one question before we leave.
Okay?
I just want to understand if we had a lease for 2 years, because I just want to understand for moving forward. If we had a lease for 2 years and the landlord did not have a rental license during those 2 years.
So that would be addressed in the order, unfortunately. I'm not going to be able to address any issues that what you are asking about, because that pertains to a final order. So we're not going to be able
Gotcha.
to.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Parties are free to
Thank you.
leave. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Commissioners, we're gonna end this hearing and go over to the 11:15. Thank you.